Hi guys.
Welcome to the Battery Podcast. Today we will be going over 5 immediate benefits of being debt free. Now, for those who have been listening consistently since the beginning, which I'm assuming is 0 of you at the moment,
We'll get there.
We'll get there, exactly. I recently finished paying off my student loan debt, and I finished paying this debt last week, and I've been paying this debt off for the last 6 years, and I've been paying the minimum. But I recently just paid the bulk of it, the last bulk of it down in one fair swoop. So I'm done. I'm free. I accomplished my goal. I crushed it, and the great thing is I crushed my goal, and it's not even half the year yet. You know, I've already crushed. I've crushed 3 goals this year. We started the podcast. That was one of my goals. We crushed that early on. I personally got promoted to blue belt in jiu-jitsu, which is another goal I've been trying to get since last year. And now this one, which is paying off my student loan. So I've crushed 3 major goals in a span of 5 months. We're not even half the year yet, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. So like I feel fantastic about everything I've done so far. Like, this has been arguably my strongest year.
You see what happens when you're consistent?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is it's all it takes is just being consistent. This is the strongest year I've had since probably senior year in high school, I would say. Not even no. No, I would say prior to this, I think my other strong year was the year I became a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So when I was a person, you
worked hard as fuck for that.
Really worked. Exactly. I worked extremely hard, and that's another topic we'll get into in another completely different episode, because I have a lot of great insight into not just personal training but the lifestyle and what it took to get there. It was a great experience. It helped me grow. Anyway, so today we're going to go over these immediate benefits of getting out of debt that I experienced shortly after paying it off. This is a week after, by the way. So, first one is you're free to make any moves in life now. So, by that I mean you are no longer because you're no longer beholden to any debt creditors or bank, debts from banks, student loans, big mortgages or stuff like that. You're free to just pretty much pick up and leave, or make major life decisions, and do it fairly easily, without having to really think twice. So if I want to, I can literally pick up and move to Australia, and no one will bat an eye.
Van life.
Or van life. Yeah, van life. I think you're really getting into this van life
Van
thing.
life sounds dope, dude.
I mean, hey, again, it's an option. It's not something I'm overlooking at all. Definitely. But you definitely are bringing it up a lot more often. So we're going to talk about this later on. So you're free to move. You're free to do as you please. You're free to take up that job that you've been wanting to take without risking. You're free to quit your job if you want, and just be in limbo and find yourself another job if you'd like, and not have to. I mean, ideally, you do want to have at least the 3 months 3 months savings to keep you going during that time while you're searching for a better job or better opportunities. But you get my gist. Basically, you can in fact go anywhere, make any major life decisions. If you want to change careers, you can do that in a fair swoop without any major repercussions.
Well, this is also because you have no family too.
Yeah, and that's another
a separate
factor.
thing.
Yeah, it's a separate thing. That's a separate factor. But this is just one benefit that you get from it. Okay, so that's one benefit. Number 2, you could spend money freely. You can buy the things you've been wanting to buy for a while. Now, myself, I'm not necessarily the most materialistic person, But I did compile a list of things I've always wanted to get.
Tell me Gucci flip-flops are on the top of that bitch.
They are absolutely Gucci. Absolutely. Oh, he's bringing this up, I think, because I was making fun of guys that are obsessed with Gucci last week.
Yep.
I don't understand this obsession with Gucci, but then again, I never understood obsessions with brands in general. If it works, if it functions the way it needs to function, then by all means, I'll get it.
That's why Costco's fucking shit up right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm more utilitarian. I basically just stick to what works, unless of course. Actually, you know what? You're wrong. I'm wrong. I'm lying. I guess it comes down to certain things. So clothing, style, all that stuff, I could care less. As long as I can outrun the police with a certain pair of shoes, or as long as I can, take somebody down without having to get any jackets in front of me or something like that, then I'll be fine. However, when it comes to bass, I'm very, very particular. But then again, I cultivated my taste and my style of bass playing over the years. It didn't happen overnight. If you were to tell me 6 years ago when I first started getting into bass guitar, hey, you're gonna be obsessed with Fender. Particularly, you're going to be obsessed with Fender jazz basses. I'd be like, you're crazy. Fender jazz basses are super boring. I like the Warwicks and the big, bombastic sound.
I have no clue what the fuck he's talking about.
Exactly. See what I mean? You get what I mean? I developed my taste over time. So I guess in certain things, I may be a bit particular in my taste. Anyway, back to this. You can basically buy whatever you want, spend your money freely, without feeling guilty about it, knowing very well that the money you're using to spend on whatever material things or things in general that you buy is your money. You own it now. Like you are no longer beholden to anybody, and it feels good. I recently started buying a bunch of cool things that I've been wanting to buy for a while, and you're gonna be stoked when you see this next thing I bought. It's a surprise. I'll show you guys later on. I bought a suit. Yeah, I ordered a suit, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I ordered my first suit. I'm getting another suit pretty soon. This one's more of a casual, but still it's like a suit, but very casual. One. But I'm gonna get a straight up. I'm gonna get like maybe 2 straight up tailored suits. So I'm gonna buy a couple suits. I already bought one. I am about to buy a new wah pedal that I've been wanting to get, and then of course I'm gonna buy my Iron Maiden tickets in 2 weeks. I
get that shit too.
Well, I'll let you know when because I pay rent next week. So after that. So I'm going to buy Iron Maiden tickets, and I'm going to buy a 357 Magnum, and I'm not going to feel bad about it because I've always wanted those. I mean, I've seen Maiden 5 times. This is going to be my 6th time. That's nothing new. But the 357 Magnum, which is a gun, by the way, I like guns. I support guns. Guns are awesome. Period. Anyway, back to this. I've always wanted to own a 357 Magnum since I was about 14 years old. I remember I used to obsess with that gun particularly. I don't know why. I can't remember for the life of me why I'm such a huge fan, but I became a huge fan of the 357 back when I was a kid.
Dirty Harry?
No, he is a 44 Magnum.
That's a 44?
That's a 44 Magnum, yeah. So part of the reason, it just, I don't know why, but later on, as I started doing more research on guns and started kind of like learning a little bit more about weapons, I realized the 357 is special. It's cool because, and especially this particular one, is because I can use 357 rounds as well as 38 special rounds. So I can interchange between the two. So I can buy like I can buy a bunch of 38 special rounds, take it to the range, and use that for target practice. And then for actual, pragmatic use, I would use the 357 rounds. So yeah. I mean, anyway, back to this. I'm just buying a bunch of stuff, and I've been wanting to buy, and I will buy that Kawasaki 300 Ninja. By the end of the year, I will own one.
Okay.
I will own one.
Nice.
That's the thing is that's another thing I've always wanted to buy, but I didn't have the funds to do it. Now I have the funds to do it. So I will own one by the end of the year. Period. Yeah. So
He's serious, guys.
that's the thing. The thing is, when I set my mind on something, try and stop me. Try anyway. So, you could take that vacation that you've always wanted to take and not feel bad about it. You know, that's another thing I think I'm gonna start looking into later, a little bit later, just because. Another thing is I want to start actually a legitimate savings account. So I want to save. I want to save a good chunk of change before I take my first vacation, rather than doing it right off the bat and then having to wait to start saving. I'd rather start saving now.
Smart.
So I'm gonna start. You know, the world's not going anywhere. The world's gonna be here. Okay. So I'm gonna save a good chunk of change and then start traveling. Let's see. Oh, and you can go out with your friends and have a good time and not have to worry about, oh, is this going to affect my future in any way, shape, or form? Which is, by the way, exactly what we're going to do tonight. We are going to go and shamelessly bar hop and become ratchet people, I guess. I don't usually do this. This is a very rare occasion for me. I rarely ever go out with friends and go out drinking. I drink, again, very, very seldom, like 4 to 6 times a year. And so this is a very special occasion. I'm going to go out. I'm going to have a good time. I don't give a fuck.
That's right.
Yes. Now, those are some benefits that I've seen a lot of people talk about once they've finished paying off their loans or their debt. Those are just some of the general benefits you'd hear about from everybody, really. Like, everybody's heard these benefits before. Now, here's a unique benefit that I personally came up with, that I'm personally experiencing. This is kind of my own unique benefit to this. And basically, benefit number 3 is you are symbolically giving the middle finger to the system and the consensus. By that, I mean you basically refuse to be owned. You basically refuse to be a debt slave, and that's exactly how the system is set up here in here in modern times. The system wants you to be a debt slave. The system wants you to be anchored to that giant mortgage, that bank loan that you got, the student loans. That's how the system is set up. That's how the consensus set it up for people like us.
If you think you're lying, look at pretty much almost everybody around yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll realize
that literally everybody, generally most people are beholden to some sort of debt. And that's just how the consensus wants you to operate, because they see you as cattle. They see you as sheep. So by being out of debt and by getting out of debt and remaining out of debt, you are collectively, those of us who have gotten out of debt, collectively we are giving the middle finger to the system. And that's a good thing. It's a good feeling. Those who have known me for a very long time know that I don't necessarily do what everybody else does. I have a tendency to do my own thing. I know for a fact that there are 1,000 yous and there's only one of me. I know for a fact that there is only one me. There's no one like me. I know for a fact. Call it arrogance, call it being conceited, I don't care what you call it, but I definitely feel it this way. I know for a fact there's nobody like me. Anyway, so yeah, no longer a debt slave. You're collectively giving the middle finger to the system. Now, number 4, benefit number 4. And this is another unique one that I feel I kind of came up with. I didn't really hear this very much from a lot of other people I've spoken with or I've heard of who have paid off their debt. This is another one I kind of thought of on my own based on experience. And I'll elaborate a little bit. So, benefit number 4 is you're not as easily manipulated. Now, the reason I say this is because when I was young and dumb, I was led to believe that you absolutely must go to college to be successful. And if you do not go to college, you will never be successful, and you will never be happy, and you will never live a fulfilling life. That's literally what I believed. And that's what, again, the mainstream media wants you to believe. That's what states state-funded schools want you to believe as well. They sell it, they cram it down your throat, and it's just you can't escape it. So I felt I didn't think for myself well enough back then as I do now, and so I felt like I was in a desperate situation, and I was in the same exact scenario that Joe Rogan was actually in that point, where I only went to school, I only went to college so that people didn't think I was a loser. That's literally the only reason I did it. And that's one of those things that Joe Rogan has said that really struck with me. I was like, yeah, that's exactly why I did it. And that's how I ended up becoming manipulated by the system and telling me you need to go to college, go to school, get an education, quote unquote. And I say quote on education because we all know that not all education is created equal. Those with their eyes open understand that there's certain courses, there's certain degrees that are absolutely worthless. And I always assumed that if you have a degree in whatever, as long as it's from an accredited university, that you're automatically smarter than me.
Yep.
I always thought that. I've talked to a lot of college students, quote unquote college students, who have specific degrees, a little too specific, if you ask me. And they are incredibly arrogant and have no sense of how the real world really works. And we'll get into that in other episode. That's a great thing, is we have so much to talk about.
Yep.
It's just never ending. So anyway, I was manipulated, basically. I was manipulated into getting into college debt and paying all that off. Now, and this benefit of not being so easily manipulated particularly applies to those of us who have been in a lot of debt and have gotten ourselves out of it. Those of you who have actively gotten yourself out of debt and remained out of debt understand fully well that you will never sign on the dotted line without ever really going through the consequences of what's going to happen with you and all the repercussions that will follow. I didn't think that. I was 19 years old. I didn't know anything. I just thought, I'll just sign on the dotted line, and I guess I'll have a good education and a good, bright future. But it just wasn't that way. Now, again, it goes. I'm not saying I'm not stating woe is me, because I wouldn't have never. It's a weird thing, because going through this process of getting out of debt was almost a blessing in disguise, because I learned a lesson, and it's basically, don't always read the fine print, and don't just get into something because the consensus or the general population is doing it. I just didn't know that, and so you're not as easy. You really think? Let me put it this way: for those of you who have been in debt and have gotten yourselves out of debt, you really think it's going to be that much easier for someone to come up to you and try to manipulate you into signing on the dotted line without actually taking a real close look at what you're getting yourself involved? No, you're not even going to allow that person in your circle. That person's not even going to be allowed to come in here, because you worked so hard and you understand the sacrifices you made to getting yourself out of debt. You understand that. You understand the consequence of being in debt, and you understand the sacrifice it takes to get out. So for the most part, most of you who have learned, I'm not going to get myself back into this. I've been out, and I love being out of this situation. I'm going to remain out of this situation. I'm going to opt out. So yeah, it's going to be a lot harder, if not impossible, to manipulate you. I know for sure it is for me. You'd have to kill me. I would have to be a dead person before you get me to sign without my consent, or without truly trying to manipulate me or in any way, shape, or form. So I am so happy. For the first time in my life, I can honestly say I'm truly happy with where I'm at right now. And it's funny, because I was hanging out with Tower. Tower's my best friend, and last week I was helping him dig a ditch. So we were
he was telling me about that.
Yeah, so it was.
He's like, you guys made a job that could have been 7 hours, like an hour and a half.
Exactly. And the thing is, he didn't ask me to. He told me I'm gonna be at my mom's digging a ditch, so I'll be there. So if whenever you want to meet up, just let me know, and I'll tell you where I'm gonna be at. So I just showed up out of the blue, without telling him, hey, I'm here to help. What do I do? And we were also accompanied by another friend by the name of Mark. We call him Nightman. You may hear from him in the near future. He's great. He's awesome. He's one of the very few people I approve of. Very few, by the way, because I don't like a lot of people. I'm not nice. And Towers introduced me to a lot of people, and 90% of them are burnout people that I do not relate to and just give me gigantic headaches. Nice people swallow, by the way. Mark is not one of them. He is one of the few people I don't actively root against. We'll put it that way. Anyway, so we were just talking. We were shooting the shit. We're digging this ditch, and we're talking about life. And I told because this is freshly out of finishing paying off my student loans, and I told Mark, I can say honestly for the first time in my life, and I said it with such certainty, and I was so earnest when I said this to him. I told him, I am so happy with where I'm at for the first time in a long time. And it really struck Mark. It really struck a chord with him, because he said, wow, man. He told me, that is beautiful. That's amazing. I don't ever hear other people saying that very often, because I was so earnest about it. That's the thing. So I'm very happy with where I'm at. I'm very happy with how things have turned out so far. I wake up every morning incredibly grateful. I go to bed praying that I pray that everything's taken care of, and I'm just very grateful for what I have. And again, I wouldn't change it in any other way. I've learned a lot, and this is just another lesson in the many lessons that I've learned so far in my short life so far. We're gonna get into story times in the future. I'm gonna elaborate on some experiences that have affected me deeply over the last decade or so, even before that, so we'll get into that later on. But for the most part, getting back to this again, I will remain this way. I enjoy being where I'm at. I enjoy being debt free. I enjoy having a good time with my friends now, and I actually feel good about it. Because prior to this, when I would go out with my friends and everything like that, I would have a good time, but then in the back of my mind, there was always that lingering feeling of insecurity, of just like, man, there's some stuff I need to sort out. And luckily, I'm starting to sort all these things out, and I'm taking a proactive approach in doing it. I don't talk about it. I am about it. I try to set that example with all my friends and family. I try to be the guy that not just talks about it, but actually does the things he says. And for the most part, I like to think you ask anyone that's close to me, they'll tell you pretty much that's how it's been from day one. I have a tendency to just set my mind on something, and just not letting anything get in the way of that. Nothing, regardless of what happens in between that time. Okay, and of course, so now moving on, the final immediate benefit of this is you can actually start saving for your future, legitimately. And again, I've gone through life without actually thinking about my future, without actually thinking about what I'm going to need later on in life, and that's a very foolish way of going about things, very foolish way. And I just said enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of this uncertainty. I'm just done. I'm over it. So I thought to myself last year, I want to have a real future. I want to have an actual future. Well, what do I need to do first? I took inventory of my life, and I thought, well, what are some of the things I need to sort out first? Well, the first big one was getting rid of debt. Because I knew, okay, well, if I want to have a decent future, or life savings of some sort, or being able to invest and all this and that, and in order to even have that option, I need to be out of debt so that I can put all of my resources and time into saving for my future and actually setting up a future. Who knows? Because I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we've had some close calls in our family, and so those are some things that have got me to think of the way that I think now. Basically like an adult. I'm basically finally starting to being a real adult. And so now I'm taking the necessary steps. Obviously, not like I'm having some fun right now. I'm taking the time off to relax and have some fun this summer. But of course, I'm already formulating my plan for next year for what I'm going to be doing financially. And I'm confident in myself. I know I'll be able to do it. And I'll be able to set something up for myself and making sure that I'm taken care of and making sure my family's taken care of as well. And yeah, it feels good. I have real vision now. I have a real vision, and it's a good feeling to have. It's a good, it's a good quality to have in my personal perspective.
Now that you're debt free, you can start investing. That's a big one.
That's another. Yeah, exactly. Now, and that's what I'm saying. And that goes back to spending your money freely. It's like now I can actually invest. And I'm looking at all my options right now. There's multiple ways that I'm going to be building wealth. Aside from the main one which is a savings account. Putting a certain amount away during a certain amount of time. I'll also start looking into investing and doing a little bit of that. Maybe getting into precious metals. Who knows? Like I'm gonna take all the options that I have. Options are they're good. So yeah. There's just going to be a lot of things. A lot of changes are going to happen. So,
do you feel like the stress level has gone down a lot?
Oh my God, yes. Yes. I mean, obviously, like, we're always going to have stress. And obviously, there's always going to be things that happen in life. But now, this just basically reduces tenfold the amount of stress that I have. Oh my gosh. Like, I can now, like, for example, now, if I lose my job, I know I'll be fine, okay? It's like, okay, well, I'll just start looking for another job, and if I can't find one immediately, I'll work at McDonald's until I can find myself a better situation. I'm not too cool to do that. I'll do what I need to, but I have options, and yeah, I feel good. Like now, for the most part, if anything were to happen, I feel I'll be ready for it, and I won't be as stressed. So yeah, there's definitely a lot less stress. Aside from, like I said, the daily stress of life, that never goes away. That's never gonna go away. But definitely, my stress level has gone down immensely.
And like, I'm guessing you're already better with your money.
Oh, way better.
So,
yes. Now I know how to save. Basically, I know how to properly save now. I know how to budget, and I know how to properly save. So.
You have like control over your spending priorities.
I have. Yeah, exactly. I have full control. I have full control over my spending priorities. Where right now I don't. I have a limit of how much I can spend within a week, and I don't go below that. I have a certain amount in the bank. I'm not going to disclose it, obviously, but like I have a certain amount, and I don't allow myself to go below that ever. Yeah. So that I started doing once I actually decided to pay off my student loans. That's when I decided, okay, this is how much I am going to absolutely always have in the bank, and then I'm never going to go below that. And if I either stay at that or even not go above it all, like overspend on that, I'm even better. I'm even in a better situation. But there is a limit that I have where I don't go below that. If I go below that, then I know I'm in trouble. I'll understand. Okay, I'm in trouble. I gotta, take care of some stuff. But for the most part, I mean, I feel good. I feel good, and I'm being earnest here. Yeah. So those are the 5 immediate benefits of being out of debt. I hope this helps you, and if you're in debt right now currently, I hope.
I highly recommend.
I highly recommend you get out of debt. Trust me, and I hope this serves well, and maybe for some inspiration for those who feel that you're in a hopeless situation. Just know, you're not hopeless at all. As long as you take ownership, and you are the full authority of all the bad decisions you made, and the consequences that you've accepted. Start from there. Okay, and then take ownership of what you have. make the first necessary steps and just go from there. And that's it. That's all I gotta say. But just know this, man. It feels really good to be out of debt. I couldn't be happier. I'm telling everybody verbally. I'm preaching it. I told everybody at work, and some of my coworkers, like, congratulations. Like, really, that I'm really happy. Like, they were really happy for me. I've been telling everybody, all my friends. I'm like, hey, man, I just accomplished this goal. I want to go out and have a good time. Which is what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna go out and just party our asses off because I deserve it. For the first time ever, I actually feel I deserve something. For the first time in a long time. I mean, there have been instances where I've deserved it, but like a slap on the face. But yeah, I'm gonna go out tonight. I'm gonna have a good time. Before we go, I also want to say shout out to all. It's Memorial Day weekend, so shout out. I have a soft spot for veterans and people who have served. So shout out to those who didn't make it back, and shout out to all the families of those veterans who have suffered their losses. So yeah, I just want to say happy Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe, make good choices, and
stay debt free.
Yeah, stay debt free.
Next week we'll be going over mentorship and guidance. So stay tuned.
Later.
Late.